Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of the GuildPlot podcast. That's what we're naming it right now. Probably not going to stay, but we're going to go with it for now because we believe it's awesome. All right, let's get into this. All right, first episode, we're going to be talking about SWTOR. The new patch just came out. It was not too long ago. 3.0, I believe we're up to 3.1 now. So we brought in one of our friends, Craig. He actively plays SWTOR. And he is the best. Just ask him. And he's gonna walk us through. He's gonna walk us through SWTOR, the things they've changed and stuff like that. So I'm gonna turn it over to him, and he's gonna tell us like what we can expect. I haven't played SWTOR in a long time, so I'm really interested to see what they've changed, what they're doing new. I've heard things about housing and all this stuff like that. I'm really interested to see what this new SWTOR is all about.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Craig. I don't know that I would say that I'm the best, at least with this most recent patch. They nerfed my class, but I won't spend too much time on that since I'm sure they've already heard enough from me about that. Earlier last year in 2014, we got two big expansions. We got the Galactic Housing update, so now everyone can decorate their own houses to their own fancy and whim. Also, that came with that was the guild ships finally. And now with 3.0, we get 2 new planets, 2 new flashpoints. Just with 3.1, those 2 new flashpoints got added into a hard mode. And we have 2 new operations, and Season 4 of PvP is starting.
Nice. How has these changes felt in the game in terms of like, I know we're a long ways out from the initial launch of the game. The game has had years to actually grow and mature as the Star Wars MMO that it is. How do you feel about the game in its current state compared to where it's come from?
I feel like they made a lot of the changes that need to be made. They fixed a lot of the major glaring issues that came up 3 years ago when the game launched. There is still a lot of weird quirks that haven't been fixed. I'm going to attribute most of that probably at this point that they're just things that players have to live with because they're engine issues.
Yeah.
But nothing. There's what I was very impressed with very few exceptions. The 2 newest raids that came out, we cleared through story mode without hardly any issue, without any boss stopping bugs that we couldn't just push through. We've had a few issues in hard modes with one boss, with one of the bosses, and when we talk about the operations, I'll elaborate on some of those later. But again, nothing that we still couldn't complete the fight with, but stuff that we've had to live with. But it's nothing like way back on 1.0 when we had all the issues with SOA.
Platforms disappearing and the like.
I wish I could forget about SOA the Infernal one. I so wish I could.
It was a great fight when it worked, but other than that, there was a lot of issues at the beginning.
And the 1 in 100 times it worked.
Yeah, right. JT, what do you? I believe you have some questions too for Craig.
One of the things, so guild ships are finally out, and I know that is something that the community was asking for since before launch. Does it live up to what everyone has been waiting this so long to get?
Okay, so there's a lot of really cool features with it. If your ship is parked on the planet that you want to travel to, you can summon guild members to that planet to your location, so that's really handy.
Yeah.
It has resulted in a few of our guild members moving the guild ship intentionally before raids so we can teleport people outside the raid instance and then moving the ship back afterwards. Needless to say, it's something that guild leadership hasn't been too happy about, but
I'd say not.
But it makes for an interesting thing because you can put a lot of stuff in these ships that can make your guild ship an effective hub. Instead of going to the fleet, you can go to your guild ship from anywhere. So much like in the original Knights of the Old Republic game, KOTOR 1 and 2, how you had a fast travel back to your ship.
Yeah.
When you have a fast travel to either your stronghold or your guild ship, you can go to either, and you can craft stuff to make decorative items. You can craft to make a GTN terminal on your guild ship. You can add mailboxes. You can literally turn your guild ship into a player hub, so people choose to go there instead of to the fleet. And that kind of, it was really nice for, it really can bring guilds together. A lot of times, some of us just, when we're bored, when we do our weekly guild meetings, we'll just go on the guild ship and we'll jump around and goof around during the guild meeting.
Yeah.
And, it's nice. It adds that extra layer of seeing other, because a lot of times when you're playing the game, you've got, 20 or so guild members online, but, unless you're doing something with them like flashpoints or raid, you don't see them. So it encourage you kind of cross paths with each other a little more often, and that's a little nice. But the other part that they added into to really flesh out the guild ships was the whole Galactic Conquest add-on that came with all the guild ships. And basically what it is every week you get a list of challenges, and it can be anything from like kill NPCs to complete flashpoints to craft so many items. And what that does is, if your ship is parked over a certain planet, and then you completing those objectives builds you up points, whichever guild over each planet has the most points, they conquered that planet for the week. And so they get special perks while they're on that planet. They get buffs to, if you conquest like a planet that has dailies on it, while you're on that planet doing dailies, you have an extra buff from your guild ship, so you do a little more damage towards for PvE enemies. The nice part is you can fast travel to whatever planet it's docked on. You can just open up your legacy menu, jump into your guild ship, or your conquest menu, jump into your guild ship, and then go to exit area and drop on whatever planet it's parked on top of. So that's also really nice. It defeats a lot of the having to get in your ship, fly there, get out.
Yeah, I mean, are load times still a little bit of an issue? Does this kind of help get around some of the extra loading, going there and then going here and then hopping here to get to here?
Well, it has certainly made load screens a little more frequent.
Oh, okay.
Because there's so many transitions between scenes. However, I haven't gone to Alderaan in forever, so I guess by adding all these new planets, it creates a moot point of, the load screen of Hoth is still forever. Yeah, but you never go to Hoth anymore.
Okay. So it has gotten better as it's gone on.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
The newer planets are definitely. I don't terribly wait long to load into the newer planets. Okay. And the content, I'm assuming we're going to jump into that next, but the content on the two newer planets, it really brought back the story feeling, and I'll elaborate on that when we switch to that topic, but it really brought back the story feeling that was so exciting about leveling a character for the first time when starting out on SWTOR 1.0.
One thing is, I know no one really liked general chat, but it got everyone in the game kind of communicating. Is it becoming less frequent for people to be there now with the guild ships out, that it's become kind of barren, or is it still a big hub?
It's still a pretty big hub because your class trainers are still there. You've still got every time they add new stuff like the Galactic Conquest stuff and stuff, they've expanded the guild fleet to accommodate all that stuff. It's still one of the places you have to go for most of your flashpoints. Like when you start the quest lines for your flashpoints, you have to be on the fleet. So there's still a lot of reasons for players to be there. There's a lot of reasons for, not every guild ship is decked out with all the things you need. So there's still a pretty healthy player base in the fleets. So
okay,
I would just say it does, when you're in the field a lot and suddenly, my inventory's full, let me go throw some stuff in my banker on the GTN. It's now a lot more accessible than having to run, fast travel back, get on your ship. Now from anywhere you can just press U, go straight to your stronghold, run up, dump some stuff in the bank, hit exit area, and go right back on the planet from where you were.
Okay, yeah, because that was gonna be my next question, because I was curious if it worked that way. Because I was that's great, because you don't because it would definitely be really bad if you had that feature and then it penalized you by taking you back to a checkpoint or a speeder bike or something like that, where you had to go back to where you were.
Unless you log out.
Okay.
If you log out, it doesn't seem to remember your position as well. It seems to just drop you at the nearest planet checkpoint.
So, but if you were in the stronghold or something when you logged out, it wouldn't remember where you were when you tried to zoom back.
It would remember what planet you were on, but it puts you at whatever was the most probable checkpoint to nearest to where you were.
Okay.
But if you've just traveled to it, run to your bank, dump off, and then leave without logging out of the game, it'll put you literally right back where you summoned your entrance to your stronghold.
Nice.
It'll drop you, because I've used it after I get out of an instance, like when I was leveling my Marauder, and I was like, crap, I got out of this instance, my inventory's full. It's way too long to, get to a selling vendor, so I literally just went, screw it, thing, came back, and when I came back in, I was right outside the instance. I was like, great, no lost time, it's like, it almost feels like one of those Skyrim mods that, like, you would get to just open a house portal, go, into a chest, come back out and keep questing, get another arrow to the knee. I mean, it's nice. It's really, it's super convenient.
Yeah.
I really like it.
So how is the housing overall been received within the community? Because I know WildStar came out not too long ago, and that was a big focus for that game was housing. It was going to be like a big deal, and then SWTOR announced, hey, we're doing housing too. I've seen a little bit of how it works, and you can pretty much freely place things in different sockets and things like that around your house. How does it feel? Very good in terms of its implementation into the game? Do you get to place a lot of things? Is there a lot of customization you can do, or is it limited? How do you feel about that?
Okay, all the furniture is pretty much preset, kind of like it is in WildStar.
Okay.
You do not have as much freedom to move things around like you would in WildStar, because in WildStar you could drop something and you could put a bed on the ceiling if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It is a little more restricted than that. The sockets are all different sizes, and only certain furniture items can fit in different size sockets. And when you get into a house, you look on a floor and you'll see a whole bunch of socket layouts. You can change what size sockets are possible. You can see like a list of, okay, if you don't like these size layouts, you can switch it to these different ones, and they'll all fit in the same space. So it's like, oh, I have too many giant sockets, I want some smaller ones. You can scroll down and switch them to a whole bunch of smaller sockets. So it's pretty flexible. You can still elevate items and rotate items pretty freely. But once they're in that socket, they don't move too far out of that space. You can move them back and forward a little bit to center them as you need to, but it's definitely not quite like WildStar, where you could just pretty much run an item and set it floating almost wherever. But I like it because it does encourage a little more structure to a house, or to the housing. You also get, if you completely deck out your house, you get a bonus to your conquest points that you generate for your guild. So there's an incentive to, actually building out your whole house and then filling it with decorations. Some of the decorations are really neat. Like you get a giant portrait of the boss for every boss you kill in a raid at different difficulties. So that's kind of neat. So I've got a whole bunch of my nightmare kills up on the wall. But I mean, the thing is, there is it's an almost overwhelming amount of stuff that you can put into a house. So for me, it's fun because I put in the bare essentials. I haven't gone and decked out my place entirely, but there are some people that took this super seriously, went and 100% added stuff as everywhere they could in their house, and it's really cool. But some people really liked it. Other people were like, other people thought it was just kind of a filler expansion to keep people busy until 3.0, which in some cases it could have been, but it made a pretty good portion of the player base happy, so they did it. And it's been like I said, the pro of being able to just jump out of the field at any time to get stuff out of my inventory has way outweighed what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
But call it whatever you want. Call it a steaming pile of turd, but fast travel is awesome.
Yeah.
But speaking of 3.0, let's kind of jump into what's all new with that.
All right.
I guess we can start off with the biggest thing in actual size, the planets. How
planets are big.
I know. Kind of
not Pluto
known
anymore. Sorry,
Rishi's a little bit less known than Yavin 4. So can you kind of describe what's on that planet and everything like that for people who haven't seen it yet?
Okay, yeah. So Rishi is the best way I can describe it is if you've ever seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, it's basically like Tortuga, the pirate haven. It's basically a space pirate haven.
Nice.
And
is there a Jack Sparrow walking around drunk?
There's a lot of pirates walking around drunk, and by just doing the I think the most fun part is just by doing the quest line missions. Yeah. You get a set of orange pirate gear so that you can mod out and fit with raid gear. So you get a full set of pirate gear, and you even get, depending on your class, you even get some pirate weapons. Like I got some pirate pistols for my gunslingers, and I was like, that's
nice.
Cool.
That's cool. I like that.
Like he's got laser flintlocks. If I had to reload them as slow, that would suck. But it's basically a pirate haven. It's a direct continuation of the Forged Alliance's storyline that capped off with 2.10 and 2.11. You go there purely to catch up. You get the message that Theron Shan and I'm blanking on her name, the Sith lady, are there, and you're continuing your quest to find Revan, basically.
Oh, okay.
And when you get there, it's kind of fun because they needed to act under the disguise that they're not there, so they created this kind of false reputation for you before you even arrived.
Oh, nice.
Everyone thinks when you arrive that you're the captain of this pirate group called the Red Hulls, and you're all cannibals.
Oh, nice.
So you show up, and the natives to Rishi are like these bird people, and everyone else is dead, but you see, all kinds of other aliens and humans there. But yeah, the first thing you get introduced is this kind of bird person. He's like, "Welcome to Rishi, don't eat me." I'm like,
nice.
The guy's like, and it's really fun because they had a little fun with the story. They let you choose to either play along with it and be like, "Oh no, we only eat people when we're raiding people. We're pillaging." Yeah,
nice.
They give you the option to play along, which I thought was really entertaining. But the entire storyline there is Revan has basically recruited a bunch of mercenaries and pirates to his aid to bolster his Revanite forces, and you're there basically to try to cut off his power base.
Okay.
The entire island's it's a very beautifully decorated pirate island. The planet itself has a lot of character to it, and it's really fun because you would think that the fact that because the whole point of the Forged Alliance's storyline is bringing the Empire and Republic characters players together to fight this common enemy in the Revanites. So it's really fun when you guys are both pretty much disembarking in the same location. So inside the city you can't fight each other, but once you leave it's fair game. And you think that would cause a lot more problems than it does, but surprisingly no. Like a lot of players, or at least on our server, a lot of players stayed fairly cooperative in the spirit of things. At least right after launch. I don't know about now.
So what about Yavin?
So Yavin was really fun because it's Yavin's a popular planet just in general from both the original trilogy. It makes an appearance in Coder 2, and it's really fun because it definitely calls back to a lot of the. It definitely emphasizes the big when you get to Yavin, that's when both the higher ups on the Empire and the Republic side are working fully in force together. Okay. And your quest line kind of follows you doing favors for both Satil and Darth Morris, I think his name is, the head of the Dark Council.
Oh, okay.
So you're basically doing quests for both of them as you're there. So it's really neat when you realize these two are forced into a temporary alliance, and it makes for really interesting storyline. Yeah. But the other thing is there's a lot of secrets on Yavin that the developers have kind of thrown in there. There's a whole quest line. Well, I don't know if quest line, but a hidden thing where there's a whole bunch of dead Sith and Jedi spirits around around Yavin, and if you collect the achievements for finding all of them, it opens up a quest to actually fight a pretty much nightmare level difficulty boss. I think you need 16 or 24 people to fight him.
Oh wow.
So I was like, it's like a secret world boss that they implemented into the planet, but you have to do all these things first. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying stuff like that is, I love it when developers do things like that in the game because it kind of builds it can almost build a little bit of mystery around your game too, where it's not necessarily something that's easily accessible. If you're looking for it, then it's like, oh, I heard that there's something here, and then it kind of creates almost like a little mystery and a lure about I heard this guild did that. It's like I want to figure that out. So people actually go in and research and try to figure out how to unlock certain things like that too, it was just neat.
Yeah, and to me that was probably one of the strongest things that they added into Yavin. But yeah, it definitely called back to, I don't know if JT remembers this at all. I think you and I were both Artifice, so we kind of had along with it. But the magenta crystal thing.
Yes.
People spent weeks trying to figure out how that worked, and that was a really, really fun runabout that you had to go to 3 different planets just to get one stupid crystal so you could grab something.
I don't even know if I
But I
ever
mean,
got one.
it was fun.
Showing
It
it
was-
off once you figured it out. Even like you're a huge manly character, but I got that pink crystal.
and now they've got like 2 or 3 different variations of pink crystal in the cartel market, so it's not even that fun anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a really cool thing that that they made you kind of backtrack through all these places, and so that was neat. So I'm glad that they're definitely kind of getting back into those little Easter egg things.
Have
with the
they
game.
with that? I know, like, of course, SWTOR is so story focused. Have they kind of, while playing through 3.0, can you kind of see what's going to lead to the next big, like, story wise? Does it kind of leave off at a cliffhanger?
Yes, they do actually. Pretty big cliffhanger.
I don't want to know. Don't tell
I
me.
won't spoil it. I won't spoil it, but yes, it does leave off into what direction they want to go with the storyline. The other thing that was really nice was, they said they've been maintaining this since 2.0, when they did the whole Rise of the Hutt cartel, and pretty much everyone had pretty much the same story quest line.
Yeah.
They brought back a class quest for 3.0.
Oh, really?
I thought was really, and it's short. It's a one-off little quest that shows up in the middle of while you're doing quests on Rishi, but it's nice because it kind of brings you back to feeling connected with the character you leveled up with, that you leveled, instead of the fact that the one really fun part about Rise of the Hutt Cartel was new content, but the one disappointing part of Rise of the Hutt Cartel is no matter which character you played on, all you got was that little mention at the very beginning when the Supreme Chancellor calls you and goes, "Oh yes, you're the hero of Tython," or "Oh, you're the smuggler who defeated such and such." It's like, okay, hooray.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'd imagine how that would be. Sorry, I'd imagine how that would be. Would suck because I mean I remember I leveled my character all the way up to end game, and I remember you spend so much time with your companions and all that stuff, and eventually I know you always have a romance option with your companions, but it always felt like that's halted at the end of the game, and I know it always it felt like, man, I wish there was more to do with this, that you could just do, even if it was just one-off things here and there. I always remember wishing that there was more to do there.
So funny you mentioned that, actually, because this actually triggers thought process. So yeah, so you have every character has the option to, like, one of your companions you basically can fall in love with and marry or not towards the end. And it's funny because in both expansions, both in 2.0 and in 3.0, that seems to not matter a whole lot at all.
Yeah.
Like in 2.0, there's on the Republic side at least, there's a girl you could just pretty much shamelessly hit on, and she kisses you at the end. And there's no companion point consequences to whoever fell in love with you at all.
Really?
It's just like, yeah, you just kiss someone, it's cool.
The world's ending, so we may as well.
And it's funny because the same thing kind of happens in 3.0. You can, as a male or female, you can actually romance either Theron Shan or I think it's Lana Bellico, the Sith Lord. The name finally came back to me. You could romance either of them, and I think it's hilarious because it's just like, Kira wouldn't be too happy about this if you knew.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, like, you could even have her in your party, and she doesn't take doesn't even take a reputation hit. I'm like, really?
Doesn't even like give you a look or nothing.
No,
maybe that's the way she rolls. She's
right? She must be. Kira's just sitting there. Yeah, you got to come back with the shit with me later. I got you. I guess that's how it works. I don't know, but it's that's a little immersion breaking. But the rest of it, the fact that they come back to the class story, at least briefly, enough to make you still feel connected to your character.
Yeah.
The night one. The night one was pretty great. Since JT has a night, I'm not going to spoil it.
Good. I actually have each one level 55 now, so I don't spoil anyone.
Okay, I won't spoil anyone, but I will just say it brings back somebody that you haven't seen in a very long time, and that's what made it awesome. So I really enjoyed that.
Like, I know when the game first came out, y'all both know Kit Fisto was my favorite of all time. And when the game came out, I couldn't choose the Nylon race, and I was so upset. I was like, they'll eventually come out with it, and I'll change my main character to that.
Yeah.
But after playing through the story, you get so attached that when that race comes out, I'm just gonna have to make a new character because I can't change him. He is his own person. I can't just change the looks. It breaks it all for me. So I'm glad to see that they're adding those class quests. And did you know if they have plans with like the next set of updates, if they're gonna be adding any in?
Okay, so the cat is out of the bag. They are adding a new race this year. I can't remember. It's the race that Shock T is. I can't remember.
Trugata.
Tugruta. Yeah, that race. That race is that race is coming in this year. They confirmed.
Is that the same race as Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. That race is going to be making it into the game.
I can see why, because that's a very popular character from the Clone Wars. I can see why that would be in high demand.
See, my issue is that, initially when the game launched, they were like, oh, we're not going to have all these other races because doing anything other than humanoids is too hard. So
I remember.
They said a lot of things before the game came out.
and they did a lot of things after the game came out.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone not remember, like, wearing hats as a Twi'lek and the tentacles would still come out the top of it? Like,
yeah.
So,
I actually had one on my counselor based off that because I liked the way it looked.
My favorite was back in beta was that wearing the hood up and the tentacles still came out the side of the hood. I was like,
wow,
that's hilarious looking. I wish they would keep that. But, I mean, like, that's my point though, is that, like, they already had issues with freaking Twi'leks, and then let's not even get started about the Mira Luca and the I-band thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even imagine how they're going to do with the giant heads of that race. So maybe they just won't show headgear at all. I don't know. But
have they shown anything for it yet, or they just announced like it's going to happen?
They've announced that it's happening, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
I'm super happy with that because when the game pre-launch, that was when it was, let's see what classes or species we could add, new species or whatever. That was the thread I posted on the most out of anything.
Nice.
I had
every
90%
other
of my
post,
stuff was
JT's
on
like,
there.
Nautilin.
What
What about Nautilins? We should totally have Nautilins in the game, guys. That was JT on the phone.
And those and the Terra Gruta are the two that like were the most popular. So what makes me the happiest is like now that this one's done.
Yeah.
Guess what's next?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I love that though. That those were the two that was most popular, and the one we got was Cathar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
You got to be like every other MMO and have the cat species. You can't.
Because
I know very few people that actually play one.
Well, it's like in Knights of the Republic, I never used the Cathar chick because I never was interested, for one, in her character, and two, I mean, it was just like cat girl. Okay.
Yeah, Juhani wasn't terribly likable in KOTOR, in my opinion. But that was
Yeah,
just me.
her kind of struggle with the dark side and stuff like that was kind of like, it was, I don't know. I guess some people probably would like it, but I never was really interested in it. I mean, I was always just trying to romance Bastila. I was like, that's the only point of this game.
Bang the Jedi chick.
Yeah, right. Bang the Jedi chick. Yeah, that's really the only point of that game.
I was gonna say though, our favorite voice actor JT, he got a makeover because of the Cathar patch, so that was good.
Yeah, oh yes, I love that.
Who's that?
Eric Jorgen, the Cathar companion you get as a trooper.
Oh, okay.
They actually changed his appearance to be in line with the Cathar characters once they came out because they changed how Cathars looked when they made it an actual race in the game. So they changed him to be in line with that. I was like, that was kind of nice. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I guess we can get on to the flashpoints.
No.
What are the new flashpoints? Are they exciting and worth doing?
Okay, so the first flashpoint is I have to consult my notes because I forgot. Blood Hunt is the first one. That one's really fun. If you remember from the Deceived trailer, way back 3 years ago when the game launched.
Yep.
In fact, she's probably on your poster back there, JT. The female bounty hunter that you see in the Deceived poster.
She is.
Yeah, the gorgeous redhead with the flamethrower.
Yep.
The flashpoint is you find out that Revan has basically scorned her in a sense that she decided she wasn't gonna side with Revan anymore. So you decide, as the upstanding Republic player that you are,
you're gonna bang her.
No.
Oh,
but
shucks.
Would be awesome. But you decide that you're gonna try to get her to bring her and her Mandalorian clan to fight for the Republic side against Revan. So you basically find out where she's hiding out. So you basically go to her island where she's at on Rishi, and you have to pass all these trials she puts you through just to face her. And so you fight some of them you fight these, large obnoxious monsters. Some of them are Mandalorian bosses, and finally at the very end you get a mano a mano with Shay Vizsla herself, and effect-wise, it's one of the coolest fights in the game because she's got some really effects-heavy attacks. I was realizing that could have gone into a really bad pun. I was doing this with my hands and saying heavy, and I was like, wait. Thankfully, that part couldn't be seen on camera. But
I wouldn't be too sure about that.
You said banger, and now my head's in the wrong place.
And it's not my fault.
And but I mean, it's cool because it brings back someone that you didn't really get to interact with, but she existed in the SWTOR canon.
So she was never a part of the main SWTOR 1.0, like in any of the stories?
I don't know. Maybe she's in the Bounty Hunter storyline. I've never played a Bounty Hunter, so...
I just always assumed, like, those characters were just, like, for the purposes of the trailer. That's kind of what I always assumed.
Well, I mean, Malgus showed up in the game.
That's true.
The other one, I don't want to say, but there's a reason she's not, if you read the book.
Yeah.
She's in the book?
She's in the books, yeah.
Oh.
The trooper with the scarred up face from the Alderaan trailer is in the game.
He's at the end.
Yeah, he's in the bonus series for Hoth. I know most, or not Hoth, Alderaan. I know most people didn't want to stick around Alderaan for the bonus series, but he's there.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but
these are things I never knew about SWTOR.
Yeah, I don't know if she shows up on the imp side storyline, honestly, because I only have one Sith warrior and that's it. And I know that's really gonna hurt the claim you made earlier that I'm the best. So I'm just that now. I'm sorry, I'm a rough.
I was setting you up for failure. I just hope you know that, right?
And Bounty Hunter is the one class I haven't leveled up yet. That is the one class. So I have no idea.
I have only played Sith Warrior and Inquisitor. Sentinel is the only one I've leveled up to max level, and I've got a Trooper at like 20 or something like that.
No love.
I know, right?
Going off what we were saying, that's also my Cathar character.
Nice.
But it's a really cool fight because she has a lot of unique attacks, and some of them are literally, like, one of them is literally she just flies off in her jetpack and starts spinning around the room and covers it in like a flame tornado. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, and you're standing in the middle of in the eye to avoid any damage on the edge, and you're like, this is an awesome fight. Like, and they made it an appropriately epic fight to fight this a legendary bounty hunter Mandalorian, and so
Is it the same for the Sith? Is that the same flashpoint?
Same flashpoint, yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to play it now because I just want to know how it ends.
Yeah.
If both sides are trying to get her.
The really huge upside to these flashpoints is, for the sake of just getting through the story and getting to level 60, you can solo the flashpoints on your first time through. In fact, you can actually repeat the flashpoints as many times as you want on solo mode. You don't get the same gear rewards if you did it with a group, obviously. But for the sake of going through the story, it's really useful. What happens is when you come in, you'll come in with a companion, and then you get a GSI droid that just kind of drops in, and the droid just basically acts as whatever you need. If you need a tank, it acts like a tank. If you need a healer, it acts like a healer.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's surprisingly hard to kill. And I noticed in one of the fights, like the boss, the thing is actually programmed to know some of the boss mechanics. So
nice.
That's also pretty nice. If it has to tank, it knows where to stand for tanking.
Yeah.
So, because I know with the, like, before, a lot of the story leading up to this was through flashpoints, so I haven't actually experienced that because I haven't done those flashpoints. So I know with this, I'll probably just go through solo for story purposes more than anything.
Yeah, in fact, all the flashpoints pre 3.0 now have solo versions as well. And same thing happens, you get a droid that comes down and acts as whatever you need it to be, and lets you clear through those flashpoints on basically a solo mode. And honestly, I enjoyed that more because it was like, all right, I get to view the story. I get to view the story without some jerkhole in the middle of the conversation going dark side choice. And so it's like, but it was nice for that. But now they've added the hard modes for each of the flashpoints. That's also nice. That gives you a reason to go back and play them. The second flashpoint is called Battle for Rishi, and essentially. This one is literally all about wiping out the last of the Revanite forces that are on Rishi, and this is what forces Revan to eventually go to Yavin afterwards.
Okay.
but it's also a really, really fun Flashpoint. Both of them were really, really fun. I enjoyed both. For anyone who's a huge fan of KOTOR, though, the third Flashpoint for the Forged Alliances, you end up on Rakata Prime.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
that is
Good
by
callback
far
to
one of the best callbacks ever. And
is the remnants of the Starforge still in the sky?
They're not in the sky. There's pieces of it crashed everywhere.
Nice.
And the single best part is
we've done established this.
the single best part about a lot of those flashpoints and some of the newer content is they have pulled some fantastic audio tracks straight from KOTOR and are using them in the new expansion, and I love it.
That's good. I mean, KOTOR had a really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't there was some good tracks in KOTOR 2 as well, but I do remember just genuinely just loving the score for the original KOTOR game.
Yeah, I feel like it really emulated the same feeling from the music that you got from the original trilogy, which is what resonated, I think, with a lot of people the most.
Yeah, and that was a great thing about KOTOR is it really did gear towards the feel of the original trilogy. It really did, and they took the galaxy's really old or new/old, however you want to look at it, but it's thousands and thousands of years before the first episode, so yeah, everything is old, kind of nostalgic if you want to think about it that way. So yeah, it did. I do remember thinking about that as very comparable to like the original trilogy in terms of that. So speaking of our dear friend Soa earlier, what's the deal with the new operations in the new expansion?
Okay, so the two new operations are really fun. Ravagers is first. It doesn't have a whole lot of ties with the larger Revan storyline. You're basically helping this pirate who his crew mutinied on him and someone took over his ship. And so you're essentially helping him by overthrowing the pirate lord who took over his ship. And I'm guessing that the pirate lady who took over might be sided with Revan, so that's your slight motivation for dealing with this.
Okay.
But Ravagers it's really fun. The even on story mode, it's a particularly challenging fight in terms of you have to execute the mechanics while maintaining a steady amount of DPS to actually clear through. There's a lot less room for error than your traditional story mode operations, and for someone who is dying for something new, that was really refreshing because it's like, okay, we're gonna come out after having run Nightmare for weeks in 2.10 and then turn around and run into story mode in 3.0 and we're just gonna breeze through it. No, and surprisingly we didn't. We did not breeze. I mean, we were able to clear it, but I mean, it was not without missteps and actually learning. Oh, this is what happens when this is what happens. Learning the mechanics. It was fun. The fights are actually challenging and surprisingly, unlike Zoa, bug free.
Nice.
There was. I'm trying to remember that's Ravagers. There is one issue that we were having on Ravagers hard mode on the third boss. Oh, I would like to point this out, and this is another reason why I would relinquish my title as or the not self-appointed title.
You can't relinquish it. I done set you up for failure. You have to fail miserably. This is the whole point.
I have. So, and I'm just warning you this, JT, if you ever do decide to get back into raiding at some point or another. BioWare has decided with 3.0 they hate Melee. Melee classes, and we always kind of knew they hated them before because, fights are just generally kind of mobile, but you still could do a pretty respectable amount of damage as a Melee. Nope.
Really?
Ravagers is like, oh, LOL, you're playing Melee? Let me make everything kill you.
Oh, wow.
Are people even, wanting to bring Melee into these fights and, and stuff?
I have heard from a few people that some of the more hardcore, progression raiders, people who, run this stuff every week, they don't even accept applications from Sentinels and Marauders anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because the mighty have fallen.
Because the fights are just stupid easier as ranged. I'm not even kidding.
Is everything just moving around so fast that it's hard to keep up with it? Like you force sleep and then it moves type stuff?
So the very first boss is this giant dog thing, and he has a tendency to knock the boss, your main tank back, and then jump around for a bit before settling on who the next top aggro target should be, and the fight resumes again. So you can imagine as a Melee, suddenly this giant dog leaping past over your head, then you have to go run after it, then he jumps again, you have to go run after it, and
yeah,
very frustrating. It's more so that there's a lot of target switching now.
Okay.
In fights. The second boss in Ravagers, you fight this one guy, but he periodically drops this AoE everywhere, so you have to break off the boss, run the AoE away from the middle of your raid group, and run back in to fight him. So that's, lost time for a melee DPS, but the range DPS is like, ha 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 ha!
Yeah, I'm over here, I don't know what to worry about.
I'm still shooting and running.
Yeah.
But the third boss of Ravager, you fight this giant Wookiee who likes to bring up fire from the plates underneath him.
Yeah.
And in hard mode, if you stand in that fire for more than like 2 ticks, you're dead.
Oh wow.
Oh. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
What is their fascination with things coming up out of the ground to try to kill you?
I don't know, because back when we had
Karaga, the drills coming out of the ground.
The Karaga with the drills coming out of the ground. There was what was it? There was one of the.
You showed me that one Dreadmaster.
Back in Explosive Conflict, you had the 2 Draugs at the beginning that would shoot spikes out of the ground.
That's right. Yes.
I hate that first boss. Explosive Conflict. In what came after that? That was Terror from Beyond. That came after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terror from Beyond was tentacles.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Tentacles
Those
everywhere.
little bugs, and then all the little ones would come up.
Tentacles, like everything came out of the ground to kill you in that raid.
I think the developers have a problem.
I think they have a tentacle problem. Like, I think they're pinholed into one genre that they like.
Yeah, right.
What came after after TFB was
Was it Dreadmasters?
No, S&B.
Scum and Villainy. Yeah.
Scum and Villainy, the start of the Dreadmaster arc.
Okay.
I can't remember if anything popped out of the ground in that raid. I'm blanking on it if something did. All I can think of is the fight at the end where you had to fight the crate dragon and the boss. And the crate dragon would spit on the ground. That was annoying.
Yeah. And then he would spin in a circle, and you had to stand on the
thing. And
thing.
he would spin in a circle. Yeah. So spikes, close to tentacles. Then there was Dread Fortress, which the last boss literally did have tentacles again.
Because that's completely. I mean, the only thing we ever saw in the original trilogy with tentacles would be kind of the Sarlacc, I guess. So.
Hey, but now I have a tentacle mount with that has like jets shooting out of it, so it's pretty cool.
Seriously?
Yeah. Like she wears these like giant tentacle wings that keep her floating. It's like they have like jets on them, and when you kill her, you get that as a mount. So I've got these like claw tentacles on my back with jetpacks coming out of them.
Is it any better than it sounds?
I mean, it looks cool because you have to.
Okay, all right. I just can't visualize anything that looks cool. I'm sorry.
A, it looks cool, and B, you have to clear Nightmare to get it, so it's kind of a brag.
It's rewarding, I guess. Yeah, you're the guy. Everyone knows that you did it because they see that, and okay, I get it. But
Dread Palace had fire coming out of the ground in one of the bosses. Stuff comes out of the ground and kills you.
It does.
And that is the motto of both of the new raids: is stuff out of the ground comes out and kills you if you're melee.
Yeah.
But only if you're melee, because if you're ranged, you just sidestep and sit back down and keep DPSing.
Yeah.
And it's been a point of frustration for me, as my raid group knows. We loved it because we finally got to the 4th boss of hard mode Ravagers just last week.
Uh-huh.
And it was our first time ever seeing the boss. And as soon as we get there, my raid group starts laughing because they've just looked at the boss's buff bar. And the 4th boss for Ravagers is this giant, tall droid called Master Blaster. I was like, that's fun. But he has a buff on his buff bar. It's a little purple icon that says Trample. Will trample any target that's in 0 meters range.
Oh my gosh.
What luck, right?
I just sat there. I was like, really? And
nice.
So surely enough, one of my friends was just like, "I'll bet you we're gonna get the last boss. That his buff is going to be insta gives you if you hit it with a lightsaber." I'm like, right?
Yeah.
And I loved it because that fight is you're up on top of the pirate ship that's floating and flying around in the sky, and that boss can knock you off the edge and kill you. So as soon as I saw this debuff, I literally turned running for the edge and said, "Screw it! I've got nothing left to live for." And tried to jump off the edge, and one of the sages pulled me back on. I was like, "Nope." I was like, what do I? He goes, you have so much to live for. I go, what? The 5th boss?
We need someone to be.
And so, the 5th boss is fun because you finally get to fight off against the pirate lady who sabotaged the guy's ship to begin with. And in the middle of the fight, the pirate guy starts attacking his own ship to kill her and you guys by nature. So suddenly you have to escape pod back into his ship and fight him for being an asshole. And then at the very end of the fight, you have to escape the escape pod before the ship goes down. And so it's a really fun fight. It's really mechanics-wise, they're all really fun fights on story mode. Or in hard mode if you're ranged. But storyline-wise, the Ravagers is really fun. I think where the game really shined, though, was the Temple of Sacrifice raid. Because that is your showdown with Revan. Is you go to Yavin, and the raid is you have gathered the 8 best people in the Republic, and you are going to hunt down Revan. And so naturally you have to...
Which naturally ends in failure, right? It better. You can't kill Revan. It's just...
Fans of Revan will be disappointed to know that you do defeat Revan. However, there are serious consequences to his actions. That is what will proceed into the content after 3.1.
But, okay, how many times, for one, have they killed Revan? How many times has he been disappeared for centuries? It's just like this character, you just can't kill him.
I don't know if I want to talk about this because it's part of the
Don't spoil anything. Don't
spoil anything. James, you quit talking about Revan. We all know you have a love passion for him.
I can't help it that I played the original Knights of the Republic.
But
if you would play KOTOR, you would have a hard on for Revan too. I mean every bit of those words. But let's just say it's fun because the entire time you're doing the missions, you are in some way communicating with Revan on some level or another as you're doing things. And so you get to see two sides of him, the side that's still struggling to be good and the side that's like overcome by this need to like cleanse things in his image.
He's always right though, so
Won't spoil the story
and that can be the rest of the game.
I see JT giving me the stink eye, so I have to stop it there. But the 5th raid is really fun because you go through all these big fights and it culminates in this showdown with Revan. And for anyone who enjoyed the double tank fight in Explosive Conflict, there is now a double walker fight because, and yes, it's way better than the double tank fight.
Better as in harder or better as in easier? Or just better mechanics?
Better mechanics.
Okay.
The fight's still really challenging, but it's way better mechanics than standing on top of the tank.
Can you jump and taunt to it at the same time, or does it make you get stuck there?
I think our strategy is actually that we keep one tank on each of the walkers the entire time, regardless, because one of them will switch over and hit the other tank, and then we just taunt them back.
Oh, I see.
But surprisingly, no, that issue does not exist in this fight. So even if Curly by some whim decided to play again, he could not. I mean, he could screw something else up, but he couldn't screw that up.
Oh, come on, man! He's not here to defend himself.
That implies that he could defend himself if he was here.
Oh.
I know Curly personally. He lives in the same town as me in real life, so it's okay. I can talk crap about it.
It's understandable.
It's okay. You could beat up on each other if you know each other IRL, right?
Yeah, especially if you live, within 20 miles of each other. Then I could drive over and beat them up.
We're not condoning violence in any way, shape, or form.
But we do find it hilarious.
Exactly. Oh man.
But yes, the two raids are especially between the two. Ravagers has the really fun mechanics because you're fighting pirates the whole time. Temple of Sacrifice, though, like KOTOR story-wise, is very entertaining the entire time. And the last fight with Revan is as awesome as it should be.
Well, that's good. That's good. He deserves it.
Yeah.
You do have a quest storyline for fighting Revan solo, because you get the choice during the quest line to fight him in the raid or fight him solo. The fighting him solo fight is totally different from the fighting him in the raid fight. Both are really fun. Both are really, really fun. Fighting him solo is way easier, obviously. But fighting him in the raid is a truly, like, visually a really fun fight.
Is it
Which one would you recommend?
Huh?
Which one would you recommend?
Being that you could do both.
Oh, you
I
can?
would-
Oh.
You can do both, and in fact, fighting him solo is actually a weekly. So
Because he never dies.
Yeah, I told you.
he comes back up and is like, I'm gonna do it again. Ah, damn it! I never get the council together. We gotta fight him again.
Oh man.
It's almost like, I don't know if you remember this, the Belsava's dailies with that one.
Oh.
With that one monster that you had to lock back in the door every time. It's
Yes,
like
every
oh, damn thing's trying to escape again. Let's weld the door shut every week, every day. Gotta come weld the door. It's like every week. Oh, Revan got back up. All right, guys.
Go kill him again.
Let's go knock him unconscious for another week.
Yeah.
The weekly to beat Revan is not the same weekly you get from doing the raid. So honestly, just do both.
Is it the same conclusion?
Storyline jarring wise.
Is it the same conclusion pretty much to that story, or is it just two different fights?
It's the same conclusion in terms of the consequences of Revan's actions.
Okay.
However,
it's giving
the actual.
It's
giving you the bulk and setup for the next story. Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't have a guild to play with, you can just do that flashpoint by yourself and get the story, and not be missing out on it, like we would in previous ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
You won't miss out on what it's building up to next because the consequences are the same. Okay. However, the fight in a raid is way more epic for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up what we're gonna do. Do you have any final closing comments? I think we are planning on coming back again for maybe some further in-depth discussion on this. But in closing, do you have any final comments about this new update?
I will say the changes they made to the skill system is both really desirable and really frustrating. Frustrating in that they nerfed my class.
It's all about you.
No, anyone who's played a Watchman or Annihilation Marauder, Sentinel or Annihilation Marauder knows exactly what I'm talking about. Our rotation. However, JT will appreciate this. I've seen the light, and I've been playing combat lately, and combat.
Really?
Because Combat Sentinel is super fun now. But it's definitely not putting out the number.
I'm pretty sure there was probably a point when I was playing SWTOR, probably where I was playing combat, and you trashed me so hard that I had to switch over to Watchmen. I'm pretty sure this happened.
Because PvE-wise, Watchmen was the best. Anyone worth his medal as a Sentinel knew that.
Yeah.
I even convinced JT after a while.
I remember just trying to convince you to use combat in PvP, how hard that was.
I did eventually see the light for that because they finally in their infinite wisdom put somewhere in 2.0 that you could cleanse dots from Watchmen. It was like, oh well, I'm literally useless in PvP. Nice. Now with 3.0 they can't cleanse dots anymore. However, our rotation is just stupid long, so it doesn't matter. we just can't do damage fast enough anyway. However. One thing I really did like that they brought back to Watchmen, and so that's what still gets me playing it on some of the raid fights, is I don't know if you JT, you were in beta, right? I don't know if either of you were in beta beforehand.
I think I did maybe like a week beta before the thing launched.
No, because that's when I couldn't do it. My client would messed up, and I spent 2 months trying to get into it.
That's right.
Oh wow.
Well, they had a really awesome ability in one of the earlier betas. As a Sentinel, you could drop your dots on somebody and then force sweep, and it would spread your dot up to 5 targets. And
that's cool.
When the game launched, they took that out, and I was like, oh, that's lame. Like, they took out what was an awesome AoE ability. Well, 3.0, it's back.
Oh, nice!
Awesome.
Yes. I gotta get in just to try that. That sounds so awesome.
And they added a new dot, which is the new dot they added is really the source of a lot of the problems with the Sentinel rotation now. It's a really strong dot, but it's on an 18-second cooldown, which means your effective rotation now is a 36-second rotation. So it's not so much that it's hard; it's just boring. They took out what the fun part about Watchmen pre 3.0 for me was that it was a dot class that played like a burst class. Like it had a lot of flexibility. If you suddenly had to switch targets, that wasn't an issue. Your ramp up time wasn't a problem. Now your ramp up time is a problem, and it's dot triage management. You have 3 dots you have to manage now, and it's a little frustrating. But it's it's not bad. It still puts out really good numbers, but it's just not as fun. Like combat combat now is way more reactive, and so I'm enjoying that. But some of the other changes that came out, sages, and I think by extension scoundrels too, sages can now cast while moving.
Oh, okay.
That was a big thing, and that was the one thing everyone liked about WildStar was like, hey, you don't have to be a class cannon and stand still while casting. I mean, seriously, what day and age are we that you cannot cast a spell while moving? Like,
yeah, I mean, just think about fighting.
Is this Harry Potter?
You're not going to stand there and take damage the whole time, right? You know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this isn't Harry Potter. Come on. But I mean, this is like, in all seriousness, like it was. I thought that was a really nice, subtle change that became one of the utilities that you could pick for sages was that you could cast while moving.
Yeah.
And you had to decide if that was worth, putting a utility point into. But the one thing I did, some people hate it, some people like it. I personally like it. Was before, you had all those points that you could spend individual points in, and people came up with either silly hybrids or there was a preset like if you're gonna play Watchmen, these are the points you take in each of the 3 trees, and that's it. Like no one else would deviate from that except for a point here or there if they play PvP instead, or you play combat. These are the points you take. They got tired of trying to balance the hybrid classes because they broke the norm of the 3 trees. So now all you do is you pick a tree and it autofills your points.
Oh, okay.
So now you say, okay, I'm going to play Watchmen. Boom, you have from 1 to 60 all the points you need for Watchmen already allocated. The only thing you pick now are utilities. Like one of them for Sentinel is that using Force Camouflage cleanses any effects you have on you. Another one is that you have to take is the Saber Ward used to heal us before. Now you take a utility to say Saber Ward heals me now. So stuff like that was utilities before are things you actually have to take now. Things like increased Force Camo speed or duration, or reduced cooldown on a certain ability. They're things you have to choose to take now. So I think that's neat because you can kind of be flexible from fight to fight. Do I need AoE reduction for this fight, or can I afford to use this one for this fight? Stuff like that.
Okay.
So I think it's nice because it certainly makes for some people. There's I know JT because he had a lot of other tunes. You would switch between either doing healing or DPS depending on what character you are. Now, instead of like, okay, give me 5 minutes, click, 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 commit.
Oh no! It's not just clicking; it's reading, seeing the thing. You got no, I don't want that. Oh, I need to read 3 or 4 different guides online to figure out which one I actually want to do.
I don't remember. I've been DPSing, but now our healer's not on today, so now I have to put some DPS on a class I haven't played healer on forever.
Yeah, now it's literally like, oh, heal tree, apply, utilities, apply, done. It's literally like for me when because I'll switch between Watchmen and combat now depending on how mobile the next boss fight is. I'm literally switched into my next spec before we even get to the next ad pull. As soon as the boss is dead, I just start switching. By next ad pull, I'm already in my next in my switch spec. So, in terms of just it's not dual spec. Everyone wanted dual spec so that you could literally just switch and your UI and everything would switch with you. It's not dual spec, but it's fast enough. So that was a change that I thought with 3.0 was really awesome.
Well, I think that wraps it up. JT, was there anything else you wanted to add real quick before we ended it?
Nothing really, just that we're going to be kind of breaking this into 2 because it's a big update. So the second one's kind of be like the general opinions about everything that's changed and what we all think, where this one was kind of more informative. The next one's going to be more for like a discussion and our opinions on stuff. So
that would require one of us to actually get back in and play. JT.
Hey, I was playing. I got the 3.0 and I played the XP, but what happened was I got all the characters I wanted to get to 55, and then I stopped. So I got all my classes to 55 except for Bounty Hunter, but I didn't finish. So.
Well, play it. And if you need someone to run stuff with you, let me know, and I'll come run stuff with you.
He's not this nice in real life, people. He's just acting.
You've met me in real life. I am this nice in real life.
And I do not.
Mark is not this nice in real life.
Sure. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Definitely, we will be releasing. We'll record and release our next episode on this. Future episodes will be going more of a general gaming informative, but this one, there was just a lot to talk about at SWTOR, and since we'd all played it before, and Craig is still actively involved in it, we wanted to really touch on SWTOR and give it the much love that it really deserves, because it's so near and dear to our hearts. So yeah, definitely, check us out. We are... we're starting GuildPlot News. We're going to be posting news and things like that on our site about gaming news, MMOs, things like that. Anything that really tickles the fancy of the guys who are writing articles. I mean, if they decide they want to write anything about the latest RPG that they like, I mean, that stuff's going to be up there too. So there's definitely going to be things up there for probably everybody. I say that, and then there's probably going to be somebody who gets left out. But anyways, there's probably something that you will like.
And they'll write you a nasty comment.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And then tells JT he should move on.
So, and we're looking forward to getting into streaming and things like that too. So definitely come by our website. It's, I believe, gpn.guildplot.com. Which is a sister site of our parent site, which is guildplot.com, which is our gaming hosting website that we run, where you can get on and host sites and stuff like that. Pretty similar to what you come to expect. A lot of different things that we do on there. If you'd like to go check that out, definitely be sure to check that out. And there's a lot of crossover between both of the sites in terms of things like that. So, yeah, is there anything, closing thing you'd like to say before we end it? Goodbyes, maybe.
I was gonna say for if there is do get any comments left, suggestions on things for us to talk about.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Either games, news-wise, anything. I've just picked up Elite Dangerous. I have tons of things I could say about it. Would love to say stuff about it. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got a huge game log, and the three of us all get around different games, and it would be something that tickles anyone's fancy. If you've got a comment to leave about it, say we should talk about this. I know JT probably has tons he could say about Final Fantasy 14 because of Shauna, so.
Yeah. H1Z1, which it's fun, yet may make your computer blow up. But
all right, well, I think that wraps it up. So definitely, thank you guys for joining us, and thank you, Craig and JT, for being here. So yeah, we will see you guys next time.
Men may the force be with you.
I'm just gonna say bye. I can't be there.